Hello guys, Martin here, and today we will start creating a simple room that we later will be using to creating an atmospherical shot here in Maya. So the first couple of videos will be modeling and texturing, and the later videos will be setting up lights and particles to create our atmospherical shot. So before we start modeling here, I would like to show you what we are going for. Nothing too fancy, just a simple room with some furniture in it. The textures and materials may vary from this room. Okay, so one thing before we start modeling here, I would like to model this room in real world scale, and this is because we will be using Mental Ray as our render engine, and to get the best lighting results and render results, it is important to use real world scale, since the Mental Ray is built to work in a real world scale scene. So I have my grid unit set to 1 centimeter, which means that this line here from an edge to another edge is 1 centimeter. So when we type in our values, I will be using centimeters. So let's get started and create this room. We can go ahead and start with a polygon cube, and this will actually serve as our walls, roof and floor. And if you go into the inputs here, we can see that our width, height and depth is actually set to 1 centimeter, which makes this cubic look here. So our room, I would like to be something like 7 times 5 meters. The depth I will set to 7 meters, which will be 700 centimeters. The width I would like to have 5 meters, so let's set that to 500. And the height I would like to have 2.8 meters approximately, so let's type in 280. And we have our basic room right here. Now the first thing that I would like to do is just to move it up. So our grid is at the floor, so that would be 140 since the room is 180 high. The second thing is to make sure that we can actually see into the room while we are working. So let's go to our attribute editor, and under the cube shape here, we will turn off double-sided and turn on opposite, and now we can see into the room. Okay, great. So there's one last thing I would like to do to this cube before we do anything else. I would like to add it to a new layer. Let's call this main room. And now we have the ability to set it to something like a reference. So now we can see into the room, but we can't select it. So this makes it very easy to work with the furniture later. For now, let's just have it at normal. And right at the start here, I will actually like to lay out the UVs for this room, just so we have that finished. So let's select our room here, and let's add assign a new material. Something like a Lambert is fine. and in our color node here we can add a checker so we can see the distortion of our UVs. So let's select a room and create some UVs. And auto mapping is fine. Let's just create that, and let's go to our window, UV texture editor, and let's fix this. So let's take our edges here, and if we go to face and select this one, you can see that that is actually the floor of our room, so we can use that as a base, so to say. So let's take this is the wall right here, so let's take that and move and sue, and let's do the same on this side, and let's do the same on this wall, and the same thing here. And the roof we can just add to a side here, and there we have it. So let's go to our UVs, select a couple, and holding Control and right click and hit 2 shell. So now we select the whole thing, and we can scale this down a bit so it fits. That looks good. Okay. We can see that our UVs looks very nice. Okay, so the second base thing I want to do here, before we start with the furniture, I would like to create some lists here on the side of the room as well in the roof, so you can't see the cracks. I'm going to do this by create a polygon primitive and create a pipe. So if you take a look at this, we can see that it is round right now, and that's not very fitting. But if we go into our inputs and set our subdivision axis to 4 instead of 20, we can see that it's actually more cubic now. And let's rotate it 45 degrees in the Y, or not in the Z, the Y. And let's scale it up. Okay. Let's take the radius, or the height rather, take that down quite a bit, and the thickness as well, something like 0.01 looks good, and let's scale it a bit. That looks good. Let's get it a bit in the X as well. And let's move it up a bit. Okay, that looks good. And we can take a, and now you can see that I accidentally select the room all the time. So let's go to our layers here and set our main room to reference, and now I can select it. So let's take our list here and let's go to edit mesh and do a bevel. Take the offset maybe a little bit down, 0.3 or something. Looks good. Yeah, that looks fine. Let's duplicate it by hitting Ctrl D, and let's move it up. like that. Okay, great. We can take our room here and just call it main root 01. Let's take our list here and call it list floor 01 and our roof here. Like that. Okay, so now we have our basic room here with the UVs for the walls and the floor and roof. We have our lists here, and yeah, so in the next video we will start to create some furniture, and yeah, see you then.